The Imperial Scout ship Eternal Vision drifted silently at the edge of an unremarkable solar system. Commander James Reed stood on the bridge, his gray eyes fixed on the holographic display, showing the third planet from the system's yellow star. Something about this world made him uneasy. "Another primitive species, Commander?" asked First Officer Wilson, approaching with a data pad in hand. "Initial scans show they haven't even established lunar colonies yet." Reed shook his head slowly. "Look closer at their orbital space." He gestured at the display, zooming in on Earth's orbit. "See those patterns? Those aren't random debris fields." The space around Earth was indeed cluttered, but as Wilson studied the patterns, his expression changed. Defensive grids, but they're not supposed to have that level of technology. "Exactly," Reed said, bringing up more detailed scans. "They're hiding their true capabilities. Look at their satellite networks. Some are obvious civilian systems, but others." He highlighted several clusters that showed unusual energy signatures. Wilson's eyes widened. Weapon platforms. Disguised as weather and communication satellites, Reed's voice carried a note of admiration. "Clever. Very clever." The standard Imperial protocol was clear. Any species that hadn't achieved faster than light travel was considered primitive and ready for integration into the Empire. But something about these humans set off every warning bell in Reed's veteran mind. He spent the next 3 days observing Earth, gathering data that grew more concerning by the hour. The humans were constantly testing new weapons, conducting military exercises, and maintaining a state of readiness that seemed excessive for a peaceful civilization. When Reed compiled his report for the High Council, he included an unprecedented recommendation: approach with extreme caution. Species shows unusual military focus and sophisticated deception capabilities. The response from the High Council came swiftly and dismissively. Commander Reed's concerns are noted but unnecessary. Statistical analysis shows 99.8% of pre-FTL species submit to Imperial authority without significant resistance. Proceed with standard integration protocols. Reed read the message twice, then turned to his communications officer. "Send this to Central Command, requesting permission to submit additional observations regarding human military capabilities." The reply was even shorter this time. "Permission denied. Proceed as ordered." Later that night, Reed stood in his private quarters, watching Earth rotate slowly on his personal display. He had seen thousands of worlds in his 30 years of service, but something about this one was different. The humans weren't just surviving, they were preparing. "Computer, show me their entertainment broadcasts," he commanded. The screen filled with images that made his blood run cold. The humans didn't just practice war. They imagined it constantly. Their stories were filled with conflicts, invasions, and battles. Even more disturbing, many showed humans successfully fighting against technologically superior forces. "Sir," Wilson's voice came through the intercom. "The High Council is demanding we begin the integration process." Reed took one last look at Earth. "Tell me, Wilson, in all your years of service, have you ever seen a species that builds weapons before they build colonies on their own moon?" "No, sir." "Neither have I." Reed straightened his uniform. "Send word to the fleet. We're initiating first contact protocols, but I want every ship's weapons primed and shields at maximum. Something tells me we're about to wake a sleeping giant." As the Eternal Vision moved towards Earth, Reed made a private log entry. Final observation regarding species 2749D, designation humans. Their history shows constant warfare, yet they've survived and thrived. They practice deception at a level I've never seen, hiding military capabilities behind civilian facades. Most concerning of all, they seem to expect conflict from the stars. It's as if they've been waiting for us, preparing for us, long before they knew we existed. The High Council sees them as primitive, but I see something else. I see a predator patiently waiting for its prey. May the eternal stars help us if we're wrong about them. The entry was automatically encrypted and stored in the ship's deepest databanks, where it would remain untouched until after the first shots were fired. Shots that would change the galaxy forever. The Imperial diplomatic vessel Golden Dawn emerged from hyperspace in a carefully calculated position, close enough to Earth to be seen, but far enough to appear non-threatening. Captain Marcus Roberts of the Earth Defense Force watched the massive ship appear on his command screen, its golden hull gleaming in the sunlight. "All stations, report," Roberts ordered, his voice steady despite the tension filling the bridge of the EDF flagship Defender *. "Weapons hot, but hidden behind civilian protocols," his weapons officer replied. "All orbital platforms maintaining disguise patterns." The humans had prepared for this day for centuries. Now that it was here, Roberts felt a strange calm. They had drilled this scenario countless times. The alien transmission came exactly as expected. "People of Earth, we bring greetings from the Galactic Empire. Your world has been chosen for integration into our eternal civilization. Submit peacefully, and you will be granted protectorate status." Admiral Thomas, watching from the United Earth Defense Council chamber deep under the Rocky Mountains, allowed himself a small smile. "Send our response," he ordered. The message was simple. "We welcome peaceful contact between equals. However, we do not accept submission as a prerequisite for dialogue." On board the Golden Dawn Imperial Ambassador Lord Kent frowned at the response. "Impossible," he muttered. "No pre-FTL species has ever rejected initial terms." He turned to his advisory staff. "Perhaps a demonstration is in order." The Golden Dawn powered up its smallest weapon bank, aiming at an uninhabited area of the Pacific Ocean. "A simple show of force," Kent announced. "Standard procedure for stubborn cases. What happened next would be written into Imperial history books, though not in the way Kent had planned." The moment the Imperial ship's weapons powered up, Earth's orbital defense grid dropped its disguise. Hundreds of hidden weapons platforms revealed themselves, all locked onto the Golden Dawn The civilian satellites transformed, panels sliding away to reveal missile batteries and energy weapons. "This is your only warning." Admiral Thomas's voice came through clear and firm. "Power down your weapons or we will respond with force." Kent laughed. "You dare threaten an Imperial vessel? Our technology is centuries beyond yours." He turned to his weapons officer. "Proceed with the demonstration. Show these primitives their place." The Golden Dawn's weapon fired, but the beam never reached Earth's atmosphere. A previously invisible energy shield flickered into existence, absorbing the shot completely. "So be it," Thomas said quietly. Then, louder, "All units, execute Protocol Omega." The orbital defense grid came alive. Hundreds of weapons fired simultaneously, their combined power overwhelming the Golden Dawn's shields in seconds. The Imperial ship's hull, designed to impress rather than withstand serious combat, buckled under the assault. Kent barely had time to realize his mistake before the Golden Dawn broke apart. The Empire's first diplomatic mission to Earth ended in a spectacular explosion visible from the ground. In the aftermath, Admiral Thomas addressed the emergency session of the Earth Council. "We knew this day would come," he said, standing before the assembled leaders. "For centuries, we've watched the skies, preparing, building our defenses in secret. Today proves our caution was warranted." "The Empire will retaliate," someone pointed out. "Of course they will," Thomas agreed. "But they'll come expecting to find a primitive species cowering in fear. Instead, they'll find humanity, united, prepared, and ready for war." Back on the Defender Captain Roberts watched as cleanup crews dealt with the debris of the Imperial ship. His communication officer turned from her station with a grim expression. "Sir, we're detecting multiple Imperial ships entering the outer system, much larger than the diplomatic vessel." Roberts nodded. "Send word to all commands. Operation Thunderstorm is now in effect." He looked at the tactical display showing the approaching Imperial fleet. Let's show them why humans have survived every threat we've ever faced. Throughout Earth's military installations, hidden bunkers opened. Stealth ships emerged from underwater bases. Orbital weapons platforms shifted to full combat modes. Humanity had spent generations preparing for this moment, hiding their true strength, waiting for the day the stars would bring war to their doorstep. The Empire was about to learn a harsh lesson. They weren't the first to try conquering Earth, and like all those who had come before, they were going to regret it. Imperial Fleet Commander Peter stood on the bridge of his flagship Eternal Might *, watching as 500 warships dropped out of hyperspace near Earth's orbit. His orders were simple: crush this primitive species that had dared destroy an Imperial diplomatic vessel. First wave, begin approach, he ordered confidently. Show these humans what real power looks like. The Imperial fleet moved forward in perfect formation, their golden hulls creating an awe-inspiring sight. According to all Imperial data, this should have been an easy victory. A pre-FTL civilization had never stood against even a single Imperial battle group, let alone a punishment fleet. On Earth's side, Admiral Thomas watched the approaching armada from his command center. All defense stations, maintain stealth protocols. Let them come closer. His voice was calm, despite the overwhelming odds they faced. The trap was set in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. The Empire's ships, arranged in their traditional arrow formation, never saw it coming. "Sir," an Imperial scanner operator shouted, "the asteroids, they're moving." Hundreds of space rocks suddenly revealed themselves to be camouflaged human warships. They had been waiting, perfectly still, their hull signatures masked to match the surrounding asteroids. "All units, execute Battle Plan Delta," Thomas commanded. "Show them how humans fight." What followed was unlike anything the Empire had seen in 10,000 years of space warfare. The human ships didn't fight like inexperienced primitives. They fought like vengeful ghosts. They attacked in small groups, striking from multiple directions, using the actual asteroids as both weapons and shields. "Impossible," Commander Peter shouted as another of his ship groups reported heavy damage. "How are they predicting our formations?" The answer was simple but devastating. Humans had been studying war for their entire history. While the Empire had grown comfortable with its technological superiority, humanity had mastered the art of asymmetric warfare. Earth's ships were smaller but more maneuverable. They would dart in close to the larger Imperial vessels, fire from point-blank range, where the Empire's advanced targeting systems were less effective, then vanish back into the asteroid field before the return fire could find them. "Group 7 is gone, sir," an Imperial officer reported, panic in his voice. "They're using guided asteroids as kinetic weapons." Commander Peter watched in horror as human ships attached engines to actual asteroids, turning them into massive projectiles. The Imperial ships' energy shields, designed to stop energy weapons and missiles, proved less effective against giant rocks moving at incredible speeds. "This is impossible," Peter muttered, watching his perfect formation crumble. "They're supposed to be primitive." The battle lasted 6 hours. When it ended, over half of the Imperial punishment fleet was destroyed or disabled. The survivors regrouped at the edge of the solar system, their golden hulls now scared and broken. In the aftermath, Admiral Thomas addressed his captains. "Today we proved what humanity has always known. Technology alone doesn't win wars. Creativity, adaptability, and the will to survive do." The reports sent back to the Empire told a shocking story. The humans had turned space itself into a weapon. They had developed tactics that made no sense to the Empire's strategic computers. They fought with a ferocity that seemed impossible for a civilized species. Commander Peter made his final report from his damaged flagship. "High Council, we severely underestimated the humans. They do not fight like an emerging species. They fight like they've been preparing for this war their entire existence, requesting immediate reinforcements and strategic reassessment." Back on Earth, celebrations were tempered by the knowledge that this was just the beginning. The Empire would return with an even larger force. But humanity had achieved something unprecedented. They had bloodied the Empire's nose on their first try. As Admiral Thomas reviewed the battle recordings, he smiled grimly. "Send word to all commands," he ordered. "Operation Thunderbolt begins now. It's time to show the Empire why every species that ever tried to conquer Earth has failed." The Empire had started this war expecting an easy victory over primitives. Instead, they had awakened humanity's full combat potential, and the galaxy would never be the same. Operation Thunderbolt began 3 days after humanity's first victory. Major Robert Anderson stood in the cargo hold of his stealth ship, looking at his team of 30 Special Forces operators. Their ship appeared to be nothing more than a common merchant vessel, one of thousands that supplied the Empire's frontier bases. "Remember," Anderson told his team, "the Empire thinks we're primitive. They won't expect us to strike this far from Earth." He gestured to the holographic map showing their target. Imperial Supply Station 147, one of the main fuel depots for the Empire's warships. The merchant ship's approach was perfect. The Imperial Station's sensors detected exactly what they expected: another routine supply delivery. They never noticed the combat suits hidden under the cargo containers. "Docking complete," the ship's computer announced. "Station authority grants unloading permission." Anderson smiled. "Begin Operation Thunderbolt. Phase 1. The next 10 minutes demonstrated why humans were the galaxy's most dangerous survivors. Anderson's team moved through the station like ghosts, using tools and tactics the Empire had never seen. They didn't rely on advanced technology. They used simple, proven methods that couldn't be detected by the station's sophisticated security systems. "Sir," one of Anderson's soldiers reported, "they're still using standardized Imperial codes. Just like intelligence said, they never expected anyone to get this far into their territory." The Empire's greatest weakness was now clear. 10,000 years of unchallenged dominance had made them complacent. They had forgotten the fundamental rule that humanity had learned through countless wars: adapt or die. While Anderson's team seized the station, similar attacks were happening across Imperial space. Human stealth ships, disguised as everything from debris to merchant vessels, struck at the Empire's supply lines. Each target was chosen carefully, each strike designed to cause maximum disruption with minimum force. On the Imperial Command Station Unity General Mills received increasingly desperate reports. 3 more supply stations gone silent, sir. Fuel shipments to the front lines are down 60%. Another ammunition depot destroyed. Our forward bases are reporting critical shortages. Mills stared at the tactical display in disbelief. How are they doing this? Their ships can't possibly reach this far into our territory. But they had. Humanity had spent centuries perfecting the art of irregular warfare. While the Empire relied on overwhelming force, humans understood the value of striking at weak points. Back on the captured supply station, Anderson watched as his engineers reprogrammed the Imperial systems. "Send the signal," he ordered. Across Imperial space, the hijacked station began broadcasting on all frequencies. The message was simple but devastating. Footage of human special forces overwhelming Imperial defenses, proof that the primitive species could strike anywhere, anytime. The psychological impact was immediate. Imperial commanders began seeing human infiltrators everywhere. Supply ships were delayed for extensive security checks. The Empire's mighty war machine began to sputter and stall. Admiral Thomas, watching the reports from Earth, nodded in satisfaction. The Empire thought war was about superior technology and overwhelming force. He told his staff, "We're teaching them that war is about will, adaptability, and striking where the enemy least expects it." Anderson's team didn't stay to defend their captured station. They'd rigged it to explode, timing it perfectly with the arrival of Imperial reinforcements. When the rescue fleet arrived, they found only debris and more questions about how these primitives had managed such a precise operation. The Empire had expected to fight a conventional war against a technologically inferior enemy. Instead, they found themselves facing an opponent who turned their own territory against them, who struck from the shadows, who seemed to understand Imperial systems better than they did themselves. As Phase 1 of Operation Thunderbolt concluded, Anderson made his final report. First wave of supply line disruption complete. Enemy forces in disarray. Proceeding with Phase 2, they haven't seen anything yet. In the Empire's capital, the High Council received a message that would haunt them for generations. You thought Earth was defenseless because we hadn't spread among the stars. The truth is, we stayed on our world, preparing, learning, evolving through combat. Now you've given us a reason to leave our cradle, and the galaxy will never be the same. The Empire had started this war to punish a primitive species. They were about to learn why Earth's history was written in battles, and why humanity had survived every threat it had ever faced. In the heart of the Empire's Military Intelligence Center, Senior Analyst David White stared at his screens in growing horror. The data before him painted a picture that defied everything the Empire had believed about species development. Director, he called to his superior, you need to see this immediately. The analysis was clear. Earth wasn't just another world. It was what the Empire's xenobiologists called a death world. A planet where evolution had created only the strongest, most adaptable survivors. But there was something even more terrifying in the data. Every other known species evolved through cooperation, White explained to the hastily assembled Intelligence Council. But humans, they evolved through constant warfare. They're the only known species that developed through endless conflict. The evidence was overwhelming. While other worlds in the galaxy had occasional wars, Earth's history was an unbroken chain of battles. Humans hadn't just survived their conflicts, they had grown stronger because of them. Meanwhile, aboard the Imperial Command Ship Unity Captain Lisa Wells, a human infiltrator, worked in plain sight. The Empire's overconfidence had made her job almost too easy. They had never imagined a primitive could understand their advanced systems, let alone hack them. Access granted, her computer terminal displayed. She was now inside the Empire's most secure military network. What she found confirmed humanity's suspicions. The Empire had grown soft. 10,000 years of unchallenged rule had left them vulnerable to unconventional warfare. Send the data package, she subvocalized into her hidden communicator. Across Imperial space, classified military documents began leaking to field commanders. Reports about Earth's true nature spread through the ranks like wildfire. Back in the Intelligence Center, White continued his briefing. Look at their combat innovations, he said, displaying images of Earth's military history. Every time they faced a superior force, they adapted. They developed new tactics, new ways of fighting. They turned warfare into an art form. The Council watched in stunned silence as White showed them footage from Earth's past wars. Guerrilla warfare, asymmetric combat, psychology of warfare. The humans had mastered forms of conflict the Empire had never even considered. But surely our technology, one council member began, is meaningless, White interrupted. They've defeated superior forces repeatedly throughout their history, and now, he paused, letting the implications sink in. Now we've given them access to space warfare. On the front lines, veteran Imperial commanders were beginning to understand. Commander Reed, who had first discovered Earth, received message after message from his fellow officers. These humans, one battle-scarred captain wrote, they don't fight like primitives. They fight like they've been waiting for this war their entire existence. Another reported, they're inside our supply lines, our communications, our command structure. It's like they've spent centuries practicing for this exact conflict. The truth was even more frightening than they imagined. Humanity had indeed been preparing, not just for years or centuries, but for their entire existence. Every war, every battle, every conflict in human history had been preparation for this moment. Captain Wells, her infiltration mission complete, made one final entry in the Imperial database before triggering her escape plan. Warning to all Imperial forces: humans are not what you think. They are not primitive. They are not unprepared. They are the ultimate survivors, forged in the fires of endless warfare. Engaging them in combat isn't just dangerous. It's potentially suicidal. As her message spread through Imperial networks, Wells disappeared into the chaos she had created. The Empire's military structure, built on the assumption of technological superiority, began to crack under the weight of this new understanding. In his final report to the High Council, Analyst White wrote words that would change Imperial policy forever. In our arrogance, we assumed that reaching the stars was the mark of advancement. We were wrong. The humans stayed on their world, not because they couldn't leave, but because they were building something we never imagined. A species engineered by evolution itself for warfare. And now we've given them a reason to show the galaxy what they can do. The Empire was about to learn that they hadn't discovered Earth. Earth had been discovering them, studying them, preparing for them. And now, the real war was about to begin. For the first time in 10,000 years, the Imperial High Council chamber was filled with fear. The holographic displays showed something unprecedented: Imperial fleets in retreat. This cannot be happening, High Counselor Richard said, his voice shaking. We cannot be losing to primitives. But the evidence was undeniable. Across the front lines, Imperial forces were falling back. Not in an organized withdrawal, but in pure panic. The humans weren't just winning battles, they were breaking the Empire's will to fight. Admiral Michael Stone, commander of the Empire's Third Fleet, watched as another battle group reported complete destruction. His hands gripped the command rail until his knuckles turned white. "My Lord Admiral," his communications officer called out, "we're receiving multiple requests for retreat authorization. The fleet captains, they're refusing to engage the humans directly." Stone understood their fear. In the past month, he had lost more ships than the Empire had lost in the previous century. The humans didn't fight according to any known doctrine. They appeared from nowhere, struck with devastating precision, and vanished before the Empire could respond. "Sir," another officer shouted, "the humans, they're broadcasting on all frequencies." The message played throughout Imperial space, carefully crafted to spread panic. "To all Imperial forces, you have seen what we can do. You have witnessed our strength. Your supply lines are cut. Your communications are compromised. Your leaders are blind. Retreat now or face extinction." In the Imperial capital, the crisis deepened. Military commanders openly questioned the High Council's decisions. Veterans of the Earth campaign began sharing stories that shattered the Empire's confidence. "They hide in asteroid fields," one captain reported. "They turn our own automated systems against us. Every time we adapt to their tactics, they change them completely. It's like fighting shadows that bite back." The Empire's propaganda ministry tried to maintain control of the narrative, but they failed. The truth spread faster than they could contain it. The mighty Empire was losing a war to a species they had dismissed as primitive. Back on the front lines, Admiral Stone faced a decision that would echo through history. His fleet had been reduced to less than half its original strength. His remaining ships were low on fuel and ammunition, thanks to the human strikes on supply lines. "My Lord Admiral," his second-in-command said quietly, "if we don't retreat now, we won't have enough fuel to reach safe space." Stone looked at his tactical display one last time. The humans had somehow turned the void of space itself into their ally. They used stellar phenomena as weapons, asteroids as ammunition, and the Empire's own arrogance against them. "Send the signal," he ordered, his voice heavy with defeat. "All ships, full retreat. May the eternal stars forgive us." The retreat quickly became a rout. As news spread that the legendary Third Fleet was running from battle, other Imperial forces began pulling back without orders. The carefully maintained image of imperial invincibility shattered completely. In the High Council chamber, the crisis reached its peak. Junior counselors openly challenged their seniors, demanding answers for the catastrophic decisions that had led to this disaster. "You told us they were primitive," one shouted. "You said this would be an easy conquest. Now we face the first mass retreat in Imperial history." The humans pressed their advantage. They struck at strategic resources, disabled communication relays, and spread chaos through Imperial ranks. But most devastating was the psychological warfare. They made sure every Imperial citizen knew that their unstoppable empire had been stopped by a primitive species. High Counselor Richard received the final report with trembling hands. Multiple fleet commanders refusing orders to engage. Mass desertions reported in forward bases. Estimated fleet combat effectiveness reduced by 60%. Strategic assessment. Complete victory against humans impossible with current tactics and resources. The empire that had stood unchallenged for 10,000 years faced an unthinkable reality. They had started a war they couldn't win. And the humans weren't just defeating them. They were dismantling the very foundations of imperial power. As the day ended, a simple message spread through Imperial communication channels. Beware the species that evolved through warfare. They do not know how to lose. They only know how to survive and conquer. The Empire had awakened a sleeping giant, and now they were paying the price for their arrogance. The Imperial Emergency Council gathered in their secret bunker deep beneath the capital city. For the first time in its history, the Empire was about to do something unthinkable. Issue a species threat warning. High Counselor Richard, his once proud uniform now wrinkled from sleepless nights, stood before the assembled leaders. "We must face reality," he said, his voice echoing in the silent chamber. "The humans are not just winning. They're rewriting the rules of warfare." The latest reports scrolled across the massive screens. Imperial fleets in disarray, supply lines shattered, colonial worlds demanding independent defense forces. The Empire's perfect order was crumbling. Admiral Stone, recently recalled from the front lines, stepped forward to present his findings. "The humans," he began, "have achieved what we thought impossible. They've turned our own technology against us. They've made space itself their ally. But most importantly, they've broken our belief in our own invincibility." The evidence was overwhelming. In just 3 months of war, humanity had destroyed or disabled 1/3 of the Imperial fleet, compromised the Empire's secure communications, shattered the myth of Imperial technological superiority, sparked rebellion in a dozen frontier systems. "We have one option left," Stone concluded. "We must warn the galaxy about what we've discovered." The Council voted unanimously. For the first time in 10,000 years, the Empire activated its emergency broadcast system. Every communication device in known space received the same message. Priority, ALERT. Species, threat warning. Classification, extinction level threat. Subject, humans, Terra/Earth. Warning, engage at own peril. Species demonstrates unprecedented combat capabilities. Technological level is not indicative of warfare potential. Evolution through constant conflict has created perfect survival traits. Recommendation: avoid all hostile contact. Establish neutral zones. Do not provoke. On Earth, Admiral Thomas received the Empire's peace proposal. The terms were unlike anything the galaxy had seen before. Recognition of Earth as a sovereign power. Establishment of a neutral zone between human and Imperial space. Immediate cessation of all hostile actions. Exchange of technological knowledge. Most surprisingly, a request for military advisors. They don't just want peace, Thomas told the Earth Defense Council. They want to learn from us. They've realized that technology alone doesn't win wars. The will to survive does. In the following weeks, an unexpected development occurred. Other species, previously counted by Imperial might, began seeking alliances with Earth. They had watched humans achieve the impossible, defeating the undefeatable empire, and they wanted humanity's protection. The final peace treaty was signed aboard a neutral station. High Counselor Richard faced Admiral Thomas across the negotiation table. "You must understand," Richard said quietly. "We never imagined, never believed a single species could change everything we knew about warfare." Thomas's reply was simple. "That was your mistake. You thought war was about technology and numbers. We learned long ago that it's about adaptation, innovation, and the absolute determination to survive." As news of the treaty spread, the galaxy changed. The Empire's perfect order was replaced by a new reality, one where humanity's reputation became both a warning and a promise. In the Imperial Archives, a new entry was made. "Let it be known to all future generations, the humans of Earth are not to be judged by their technological advancement. They are to be judged by their unbroken history of survival. They do not know defeat. They only know adaptation and victory. To challenge them is to risk everything." Special note: humans are now classified as a protected species, not for their protection, but for the protection of those who might threaten them. Back on Earth, as humanity prepared to take its place among the stars, Admiral Thomas made one final log entry. "The Empire thought they found a primitive species ready for conquest. Instead, they found humanity, forged in the fires of endless conflict, tempered by countless wars, and finally ready to show the galaxy why Earth's children have survived every challenge they've ever faced. They came to conquer us. They left warning others to fear us. And now, at last, humanity's true journey among the stars can begin." The galaxy would never be the same. The age of imperial dominance was over. The age of humanity had begun.